Corruption, a modern problem that every government or society in the world that has ever existed and will exist has experienced. This problem has emerged from ancient times up to this day. Many ancient philosophers have warned about this from the past, and it is sad to say that they were right. Hi, my name is Janice, and today we will talk about corruption. The Philippines is no stranger to this political problem. In fact, corruption in this country is undeniably problematic. According to the latest survey by Pulse Asia Research Incorporated, 94% of Filipino adults believe that corruption in the government is widespread. Recent years have been marked by high-level scandals, notably investigations in late 2025 exposed massive corruption involving flood control public funds where between 42.3 billion and 118.5 billion a year was lost, with certain members of Congress and private contractors implicated. These issues highlight the problem regarding the Philippine governance. With that, where do we think it all went wrong? Is it the people, the system, or the government principle that our country abide by? It is easy to blame it on the people who put those people in the position they are abusing, as it highlights the flaw of the system in which they were put to condition to vote for these people in the first place. In democracy, the voters are just a victim of the corrupt government. Of course, we can say that they helped those bad people to get in those positions, but we never consider the fact that we gave them the power to vote without considering this scenario. According to John Locke, beliefs and ideas are stemming from experience. Therefore, we cannot blame these people that voted for these corrupt officials, since they are just victims of the education system created by the government. Before we talk about the solution to the vulnerability of democracy, let us do our obligation of comprehending the situation of the voters and how do we deal with the corrupt officials. According to John Locke's famous work, Two Treaties of the Government, on his second treatise he said that people have the unalienable right to replace the leaders once they become out of line. It is a simple and strong right, but also something that we don't see often these days. While we have the power to kick a corrupt politician off the chair, we still observe a struggle exercising this right. Citizens still defend their elected leader despite many issues revolving around that person. Activists are treated as a nuisance and ridiculed by people despite fighting for what the country needs. It feels like this country is divided. We use the word patriotism and fight for what we think is right for the country, and yet we will still be rejected by our own people. This insubordination in democracy is what Socrates has been warning us, a division inside a society. According to Plato's account about Socrates' view on democracy, Socrates was against heavily under the idea of democracy. Because if we were to elect a good leader, why give the right to everyone when we have professionals and experts looking at the standards of who should be deserving to sit on the power? He expanded on this thought with the boat leadership problem. The problem starts at a boat sailing beyond, and the people aboard are trying to decide who should drive the boat. Socrates argues that the most rational choice is the experts and the professionals as they are already equipped with the right skill, experience, and knowledge to do so. But when we consider democracy and give the regular passengers the responsibility of driving the boat, Socrates said that we might as well drive the boat straight to a storm. This conundrum was not about Socrates centralizing the power to the competent, but he was merely revealing the nature and the flaws of democracy. According to Socrates, that the ideal democracy is intellectual democracy, in which he said that voting is a skill that needs to be taught systematically, and voters must have thought about issues rationally and deeply before letting them vote. Because if we don't practice intellectual democracy, we are vulnerable to the worst consequences of democracy, demagoguery. Demagoguery is when politicians try to persuade voters by voting them using emotional manipulation, prejudice, and fears. A great example of this is the candy shop owner versus the doctor problem. The problem is all about who the people would vote for. The candy shop owner may argue that he has done a great job feeding the people delicious food and it brings them happiness. Meanwhile, when you go to the doctor, they feed you bitter medicines, hurt you to treat your wounds, and such that you might even consider your vote to the candy shop owner. Socrates says that the doctor will stand no chance even if his intentions were good because the uneducated voters will choose those sweet words over the actual remedy. So, with that being said, who should we give the power to? According to Socrates, in order to avoid corrupt officials, we must be able to identify who to vote for. Votes should not stem from fanaticism and beliefs. Socrates said that a good leader, or as he mentioned, guardian, must be 1. Intelligent, because the nation needs someone who is revolutionary and resourceful in solving issues. 2. Competent, because ideas from an intelligent person will not come to existence out of a sudden. We need someone who can not just think, we need someone who can do. Loving or loyal to the state. This one is important because we must make sure that this person is willing to put the state first before his personal interests. And lastly, fourth, his interest must be ideally absolutely identical to the state's because we cannot guarantee that a person that is loyal to the state will not change. Therefore, in order to be sure, we need someone who has the same interests and end goals as the state. So, with all of that, where do we decide what the real problem is? We can't blame the people because they are too are victims. Therefore, the problem lies with the existing system built by the government itself. This problem shows us that the democracy we have today is only as good as the education system it has. We are observing the effects of democracy as ancient philosophers mentioned, and yet we fail to realize. The damage caused by a design flaw in the system experienced by a society is a damage that will take many costs to fix, a major revision if one must say so. The education system of the Philippines needs major revision and same as well with the constitution. If we want to avoid these problems, to be clearly honest, I don't think there is a final solution to battling corruption because it is human nature to have their own will and interest. All we can do is hope for the best that whoever we are voting for is honest to the state goal and interest. To summarize everything, the Philippine corruption has been worse to the point in which the impact it caused has affected the lives, beliefs, and ideas of many Filipino people. The gravity of this situation is undeniably worse to the point where the nation is dividing itself due to difference in support. The fight between different colors is arguably the most nonsensical war we have today because if you are truly passionate for loving the country, you must be able to let go of your fanaticism and get to thinking immediately.